Ready.
Hey, Zach,
Hey, Alex.
and welcome to our
All right, shut
podcast.
up.
Well, Zach, we are recording on quite the evening, aren't we?
Yes, Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, a day to be remembered and talked about for years to come in American history.
Yep, the group of rioters, protesters, have broken into the U.S. Capitol, demanding that the results be overturned, while uh, Congress uh, was certifying the Electoral College.
Yeah. Do you
Absolutely insane.
do you think that they were actually trying to overturn the election or just cause chaos? Because I heard some clips from ABC a little before this recording that they said a lot of people they were just trying to incite violence and that these kind of protesters, rioters, terrorists, what have you, are just trying to cause armed chaos in the streets. That's kind of their end goal.
Just to cause anarchy.
Yeah. Or like
Okay.
maybe like attack Pelosi or, attack some Democratic senators or Congress people. So I don't know if they were actually trying to overturn the election. That was an interesting tidbit I heard.
Yeah, because they essentially can't overturn the election. Um, a group of angry people can't just demand that they have it their way. It doesn't work
Right.
like that. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just wild that this is happening. The imagery is really shocking. For me, sitting around doing nothing, I pretty much followed it from when they were at the steps of the Capitol to now,
Hmm.
which is pretty crazy that they were able to get into the Capitol um, so easily. What do you think about that, Zach?
Right. It really makes you wonder where the enforced security was at because they knew that there was going to be protests on this day. I even heard that they said a lot of people who work in the Capitol didn't go into work today because they were afraid of something like this happening. So you wonder why there wasn't like National Guard present already, having a perimeter around the building or things like that. I'm sure there's some conspiracy theories floating around there about Trump pulling them from need or things like that. Because unfortunately, you saw like Black Lives Matters protests this summer. There was a lot more security for no reason because most of those were peaceful. So I mean, if you really get at the root of it, in my opinion, it's just racism, white supremacy, and at full force on our government's footsteps. On our government's steps.
I totally agree. I mean, it's pretty hard to ignore the double standard we saw today. Um, I was in DC over the summer during the height of the Black Lives Matter protest, and there was one really bad night where the city and businesses, um, really, a lot of them got my Siri called me there. Businesses got messed up, loitered, destroyed, cars burned, but no, the Capitol wasn't stormed. No dramatic, important federal building was overtaken by anyone. So it's really strange to see that. And boy, I really wonder what's going to happen when Congress comes back if the senators and people from the House are going to keep objecting against the electoral college votes, or if they just certify everything.
Yeah, I mean, there was talks that they could even certify it tonight. I'm not sure how that would work logistically. But a couple of senators were saying they kind of got the feeling from their colleagues that were objecting that they wouldn't object and kind of just get it done with so it can go through. Because even if they object, there's no really path for them to actually overturn the election. So it was more of like a filibuster, more or less. So I think when they come back, they're just going to do it as quickly as possible. And it's going to be interesting to see uh, if there's any kind of attacks on President Biden during inauguration day. I'm sure they're going to have to very heighten security, beef up security those days, because clearly there's some people out there that are upset and incited by President Trump, and he won't calm them down in any way.
I think Biden should step up and do virtual inauguration. I don't think the country
Yeah, I
needs
was
a
thinking about
big
that
event.
too. I'm not sure how
Yeah,
that would work.
or small gathering. Like not. It can't be a typical thing, which it wouldn't be anyway. But um, why even give it a chance to explode in such a toxic environment?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think you need to take the risk, especially with Corona and everything like that going on. I'm sure it'd be a logistics nightmare. So just to do it like virtually or um, like in the actual White House, I don't know how it would work, but I think it would be safer to do it that way and kind of to calm us down a little bit and try to get us back to somewhat normalcy that we could. What did you think of
Um,
Biden's speech? He had a pretty stringent response against Trump. Told him to stand up and tell him,
sure,
all his
sure.
protesters to stand back.
I think it was really on brand for what Biden's been saying this whole year. I mean, he's preaching that there's kind of this extreme America, and then there's the real America, and his words indicated that this is not real America. That's voting, that's working, that's doing this and that. This is a low percentage of extremists. So he's sticking with his message of unity, which is very opposite from Trump, who he beat.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. Clearly the people had spoken that they want this sense of moderatism. They want, someone who can pull to both sides, someone who could bring the country's moral grounds back. Because what we saw today had no morality to it, no ethics. It was just total anarchy, and that's what these extreme right wingers want to see. I think, especially um, when their person lost. Really, the epitome of a sore loser is what we uh,
Yeah,
is part of what we witnessed today, and it's still shocking. It's hard to take it all in right now. Hard to find words that this would even happen in America. You wouldn't fathom something like this would happen. You know, even during like the Civil War, or almost just times like that. None of this has ever happened, or during the Civil Rights Movement. Nothing like this has ever happened.
it feels like you're watching a movie. Like it doesn't feel real at all. It's
Right.
very strange. For me, I got a bunch of calls from friends in Europe tonight, and were asking me what the heck is going on in America. And I told them like, well, I hate to say it, but I am surprised, but it's been trending this way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's super weird. Hopefully, this is the end and not the beginning of something. That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to capture, right now.
I like that hopeful tone that hopefully this is like the climax of their shit show and Biden will bring us back to some sense of hope. I would hope so. And it's big today that the Democrats, in other news, it was supposed to be a joyous day, hopefully for the Democrats, but in other news, um, the Democrats took over the Senate, so that's hopeful too that they can get a lot more passed that way. So some good news with the tragedy that's happened today.
Absolutely, yeah. Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff won their runoff races, um, defeating Dave Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Kelly Loeffler was actually in Washington D.C.
Hmm.
Um, um, because she was the incumbent and objecting against the Electoral College.
Yeah, clearly didn't go
Um,
too well for her.
yeah, so I wonder how she took the news. But yeah, it's wild. I mean, so this means obviously Democrats have the majority. They have an opportunity to really get a lot of things done. It looks like they have a lot on their plate with Corona stimulus,
Hmm.
healthcare. I mean, they got a lot of stuff to work on. Let's hope they can get it done.
Yeah, I mean they don't have a filibuster majority, so they can still be filibuster. But I was reading there's some other ways they can pass things through, like so they can pass most budget bills and things like that. So I'm sure there'll be a ton of coronavirus relief, some tax things like that. But they have a very slight majority because Kamala Harris is the tie-breaking vote at 50-50.
But yeah, well, speaking of House voting, uh, what is going to happen to the Republicans after this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they go from here. I would, I'd be very surprised if they don't rebuke this act of violence and as un-American, and it's domestic terrorism in my view. So I think they all need to resoundingly reject him, and I think they should reject Trump. Clearly, he's a loser. I mean, he lost the presidency. He lost those two Georgia runoffs for them. He was backing them. And America voted three times now to prove they don't want Trump's republicanism anymore. I think they need to you go the Democratic route, go back more to like a moderate. I could see Pence running in 2024 or something like that. He rebuked Trump a little bit today. So I think they need some normalcy back in their party.
Um, yeah, so rebuke Trump by obeying the law.
Yeah, I mean, as sad as that sounds, that's the minimum. But I mean, at least he did the minimum and not, disobey the law.
Not starting a dictatorship. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tried the coup today already, or the coup, excuse me.
I wish it was a koi fish, not a coup.
A lot more relaxing than what we witnessed today.
Isn't there an Office episode where Michael falls
A
into a
koi
koi pond?
pond, yeah,
Yeah.
and he's too embarrassed to say it. They have the film.
Man,
Maybe we should
that
throw Trump
wild.
into a koi pond.
Huh. If only. Did you see his video? So after they got in, he posted a Twitter video. Did you see it, Zach?
I did, and I actually just right before this podcast, I heard that Twitter took it down because they said it was still inciting violence.
Wow.
Because they didn't
I
say
didn't know. I
anything.
didn't catch that.
He didn't say, like, stop, go home, this is ridiculous. He's just said, like, we know this is wrong. The election was fraudulent. He's still, firing up, riling them up more, saying that he loves them and he cares about them. It's not like he's talking to like a kindergartner or something.
Yeah, it just keeps pandering to his base. Um, I mean, I was talking to my flatmate about this, and there's just been this domino effect of shocking Trump-related events ever since 2016. And we were debating this. Is this even the worst one?
That's kind of sad with to rank them that this might not be the worst.
I mean, it's really
I mean,
visually, this one is probably the most shocking,
I
you
would
know?
say this one's definitely the most shocking.
Yeah.
The most
Yeah.
unprecedented, really. I mean, to storm a Capitol during a vote and incite violence like that, it's scary. I mean, imagine if they got hold of someone like Nancy Pelosi or another high-ranking Democrat. They could have seriously injured her.
Oh, they would have been beheaded for the
Yeah,
masses. It would have been like French Revolution or something. I mean,
yeah.
it's
I mean, you saw
wild.
that
Yeah.
there's those images of them breaking into her office and sitting at her desk and things like that. That's scary.
Yeah, and they even said they found some like potentially explosive devices left. So
Yeah, and
it's just a
they're
crazy
gonna have to
group.
do
But
sweeps and everything like that.
yeah.
It's very scary. I
Yeah.
mean, I would be terrified if I was at the U.S. Capitol today.
I hope for America that the Republican Party can loosen Trump's grip on it because even after today he's going to have a tight grip on them. It's a
Right.
sad reality.
I think,
Um,
yeah,
they need to get away from him.
they need
Go
to
ahead,
reject
sorry.
him. Clearly, it just doesn't work for winning wise. Like they're losing those moderate votes that they need to win. Even if he has this, far right base, it's not enough to get him to win. It's kind of like, I mean, this is not a perfect analogy, but if you look on the left, someone like Bernie Sanders on the far left, he doesn't have enough of the moderates to actually win the national vote. Obviously, they're not
Mhm.
as terrible as the far right, but it's similar in vote count. You need that middle ground of America to win something like the presidency.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's just wild. I almost can't believe it. Like it's just. At first, I saw the first video of them like kind of pushing around with police, and we've all seen videos like that this
Hmm.
year. Big
Right.
deal. And
Not as
then when they were
shocking.
in the Capitol, oh my gosh, it's just visually is like I had a physical reaction to seeing that. It's wild.
Right. And then blockading the door with guns drawn. And it's like you said before, it's literally like something out of like a movie, like an anarchy, like that where countries going to shit.
My grandmother called me and she said, "Alex, this looks like Belarus. Like this is wild, you know." And I was like, "Yeah, grandma." My grandmother's German for context, and I just was like, "I can't believe it either. This is so wild." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what comes in the coming days. If I don't see Trump giving up or anything, we'll see. Is he going to welcome Biden in the inauguration? I mean, that's what 14 days away now. It's going to
Hmm.
be very fascinating to see within the next couple of weeks what Trump's response is, which I'm sure is nothing. It's going to be more the same. Election has been a fraud. I'm the true winner. Blah blah blah. Even though we lost, by what it was like 7 million votes or something, or Biden got 7 million. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was a significant loss. Clearly,
Over 4 million.
4 million.
Over four. It
We'll
was
do
like,
that. We'll do
yeah,
that in a fact check later. We'll get the exact
yeah,
amount for our listeners. But I mean, it's crazy to like. There's even if it was a little bit closer, okay, maybe there could be some kind of fraudulent. He needs to flip, 2, 3 states. It's just it's not even fathomable, and these people just follow it blindly. It's
yeah.
scary.
And Trump has been claiming election fraud since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed that he lost the Iowa caucus in 2016 to Ted Cruz
Mm-hmm.
because of election fraud. He claimed that there was election fraud when he won the presidential election in 2016, claiming that there were millions of illegal votes, and that's why Hillary Clinton won the popular
Popular
vote.
vote. He can't
Of
take
course, he did
losing.
that in the presidency, and he said it again as his two senators lost today.
Hey, his like has some kind of I don't know what to call it, but he just cannot take losing or any chip in his ego armor. He can't he can't take it at all, and it's just
Fact check. Zach, you were absolutely right. 7 million,
seven
just
million.
over. Yeah.
Okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's insane that he can take it this far just because he lost and can't take that mentally. That he incites violence like this. How can you watch that and be feel good about that? It's hard to imagine that as a rational person.
I can't imagine it. Obviously, I'm biased, but what I can't imagine is being a Republican lawmaker and having him, you endure him for 4 years, kind of this chaotic leadership. But now you have a decision. Do you follow him like even further into the abyss, or do you break away? But the problem is he really does still have a huge base.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be over 40% of Republican voters are deep Trumpers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you do with those people?
I mean, I guess you would assume, hopefully, besides the very far extremists, as if you're a Republican, that they would go for another Republican candidate. They're just very strong Republican voters. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I could see Trump running again in 2024.
Yep, yep. Uh, I think he could run in 2024. I also could see him starting a news network or something. Uh,
I
there's
think
a
that,
lot of options for him.
yeah, that would be ideal for America. Well, not ideal, but that would be, I think, the worst, best case scenario, for lack of a better term, for America. I
Sure.
surely don't want to see him run again.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. Did you hear them talk? I was watching CNN tonight, and they were mentioning the 25th Amendment a lot, which goes into removing a unfit president.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we only have, I think, 13 days left
Yeah.
uh, until the Constitution allows for his removal anyway.
Right.
So I don't see that as a possibility, but I mean, there seems to be a lot of rumors going around about it. What do you think about that?
I would personally love to see him get removed for that. I would like nothing more to see him walking out of the White House in shame, because that's what he deserves as a president. But um, I would say they're just going to wait it out at this point. I mean, I would sure those proceedings take a long time. I'm not exactly sure what the formalities are, but I would assume it would probably take longer. The government likes to take long to do anything than 14 days. But
Yeah.
uh, it'll be interesting to see if he gets, any kind of indictments after he's done because he'll be a U.S. citizen. I mean, inciting a riot, I know that's illegal. That could be easily
Um,
charged
from
with that.
today specifically, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, his response video was really weak, really, really weak. He did say go home, but I mean, we're holding him to a very low bar, and
I
he
mean,
didn't condemn them at all. It was
but
pathetic,
no, he
honestly.
gave them more fuel. He said, "This has been a cue, and I know you feel bad." Like for them to stop, he has to concede. He has to say, "All right, I finally concede." But I mean, that's not going to happen. But that was, I think, is the only thing that would stop these people.
I hope that after today, Washington will beef up its security like they did for Black Lives Matter. I don't understand why it wasn't beefed up today. So basically, DC got caught with their pants down early in the Black Lives Matter movement when it was kind of just starting off and people were really angry and it wasn't organized and there was basically one really bad night in the city of destruction.
Hmm.
But after that, they really beefed everything up and everything went well as far as demonstrations and damage to the public. But I mean, this is crazy that they were really on the chamber floor taking selfies, waving around the Confederate flag. I mean, uh,
Yeah,
sickening.
it's gut wrenching seeing that image. I know the one you're talking about with the Confederate flag. To see that in our U.S. Capitol after all these years, and all that work's that be done, uh, it's it's repulsive, really. And I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. It's like the night of. The night of's hard to digest a lot of it. I'm sure we'll see a lot more tomorrow. I hope they beef up security for the rest of the time so they can get the vote done, and we can officially have Joseph Biden as our president. I'll be proud to call him our president. That's for sure. And I think where I'm coming from here is the way to rationalize it for me is hope. We have Biden coming in, who's very apt. Kamala Harris, a groundbreaking vice president. So I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to January 20th. I hope there's nothing like this in between those times. Maybe they have to have the National Guard outside at all times, but I'm definitely looking forward to the Biden presidency after this night of chaos.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think they're done. I think they'll be protesting peacefully after this. I don't. I don't. I don't
which,
see
which is fine.
Washington. Yeah, yeah, of course. Um, yeah, it's just a wild, wild imagery. I don't think DC will get caught like this again. It's very strange that they did get caught like this. Um, but I'm sure someone is going to get fired. I
Yeah,
mean, this is insane.
I mean, it just goes to show you that nothing really is sacred. Nothing is impenetrable, which is scary as a thought because Americans like to think everything is us. We're impenetrable. We're the safest country. We're the most powerful and strongest. But it time and time again is proven that that's not true. We're not the best country. We're not the richest, safest. We have a lot of issues that we have to work through, and I think first we need to come to terms with that we're not the best. We need a lot of work in this country. There's a lot of hard work that needs to be done, and the sooner we drop those walls, I think the sooner we can get to improvement.
I agree, and you can say that and still, be a proud American. You can
Hmm.
criticize what's happening. You can want better. That doesn't make you unpatriotic.
Exactly.
That makes you patriotic. You're striving for something better. Doesn't mean you hate America because you want more from it. It's the opposite.
I would agree, and at that we get stuck a lot in that in America. This individualistic sense, this patriotic sense that we have to be perfect, and if you say anything wrong about America, you're not a patriot. You're bleeding heart
The old
liberal or whatever you
saying,
want to call it.
you don't like it, move to Russia.
Exactly, but that's not the way we need to be. We need to do a little bit of self-reflection. I think in America, which obviously that's easier said than done, and I can sit here and say this all day, but I think it takes conversations like this. We get the word out there that you need to break down those walls. We got a lot of work here to be done in America, and it's hard work, and hopefully it's incremental. We're still a young country. Hopefully it gets better, but we're certainly not the best.
And I think what you're saying is very similar to the message that Biden gave
Hmm.
of this is not a large percentage of how Americans feel. What we saw today. This
I
is
would.
a extreme group making their voice heard.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope most Republican voters would even denounce this. I mean, if not, they're part of the disillusionment. That's the part of the issue. But I think Biden is correct on that. That this is a very small faction of America.
I mean, if you believe in democracy, you can't believe in this.
Right. It's
Any
just
sort of election fraud has been thrown out in court. I
multiple
mean,
times.
what are we going off of here?
His
You know?
own, election security said there was no evidence. I mean, what you have to believe it at some point.
Sure. And even Trump's uh, has started this group to steal the stop the steal to
Hmm.
get donations from people to help fund the campaign debts and legal debts that he has. So it's honestly possible that he's pandering to his crowd for financial gain.
Yeah, to use for his next venture, because those funds can go anywhere. I mean, it's just repulsive. But I do have breaking news here, Alex. Congress,
Please.
I think Congress, according to the Washington Post, Congress is going to go back to the Capitol tonight to resume the Electoral College vote.
Oh ho! Late night for the oldies in Congress.
So they better. I hope they secure the building and everything like that. Make sure there's no bombs or people left in it. I'm sure they did a good sweep, but I think they're going to go back tonight to finish the vote, which I think is the right thing to do. I think they need to get it done tonight, show that they can overcome this distraction, this riot, this act to get Biden certified.
I totally agree. I'm really excited to hear that they'll do it tonight. Uh, maybe because they're of all this, there won't be any objections, and they can just certify it, and uh, we can all kind of breathe a sigh of relief. Um, but I mean, if you look at Trump's MO, it's just been delaying his inevitable um, resignation as president, and
Yeah,
today his people took that message literally and ran with it into the Capitol. So uh, yeah, I'm glad that they're not waiting till tomorrow or next week. I'm glad that they're doing it tonight and putting closing the door on this crazy day.
yeah, it would be a nice stamp to the end of this. Kind of like define the protesters, what they tried to stop. We actually got it done. Even when they try to stop it, it shows a little bit of strength, and I think that's important now.
I agree. I agree. Wow, wild, wild night.
Oh man, Alex.
Yeah, this is crazy. I'll be waking up and checking my Twitter, just like I was this morning, checking on Ossoff and Warnock.
Yeah,
So we'll see. We'll see. I assume that they'll just do it, and Cruz will get out of the way, and Leffler and all these people who are objecting.
I would sure hope
Um,
so. After today's events, I think you just need to get it done, and transition the power and start to work on something better for us. To reach across the aisle a little
and
bit.
let's be honest, it's a symbolic thing that they're doing,
Yeah, it has
right?
no weight.
Yeah,
There's no way to overturn it for real. It's just to get it good in Trump's good graces. Really, is what they're doing.
they've shown their support
Yeah,
already. If anything, too far, Trump's going to be left with even less allies. If I was
right.
Cruz, I would do it.
We would hope. We would hope, but we have seen crazier acts. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So
So I think that wraps up our special episode tonight on January 6th, a crazy night on Capitol. Um, but hopefully we get this election certified tonight. We'll be certain to update you in our next episode. We'll hopefully have a little bit of a lighter tone back to our normal programming. But I enjoyed this conversation, Alex. I think we got a little bit of a weight off our chest, and hopefully our viewers got out of something in it too.
absolutely, it was great talking about it, and we'll be back later this week to talk about something, maybe some NFL predictions, feeling a little lighter.
Yeah. We'll talk our best playoff predictions for the NFL this week. Big weekend in the NFL coming up. As you know, we love football in here, especially Euro football. I'm sure Alex has a great story for us about a
Oh
German
yeah.
punter or something like that. Well, this
Absolutely. I'll be ready.
awesome. Well, this is us signing off. I'm Zach.
And I'm Alex.
All right, shut up.